Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into 3 true stories where dream vacations took a terrifying turn. These are the kinds of trips that prove sometimes the most memorable moments are the ones you wish you could just forget.
So what happens when that perfect getaway just falls apart? Well, for 3 different groups of travelers, the answer was way more terrifying than they ever could have imagined. Okay, let's get right into it, starting with a family trip to this very secluded house in Maine.
All right, first up, the house in Maine. This story comes from a guy who was a rebellious senior in high school. And you can imagine, he was not at all thrilled about being dragged along on a family vacation, especially when their destination was this remote house that looked like it was literally pulled from the pages of a Stephen King novel.
Yeah, his dad's joke there felt a little too real. And that feeling only got worse after they met the owner, a guy named Hugh. He was this loud, kind of eccentric man who lived in a small house that was actually connected to theirs.
So while the rest of his family went out for a hike, our narrator decided to stay back and just explore this strange maze-like house. And that's when he found it. The door leading to Hugh's adjoining home was unlocked.
So yeah, an adjoining house means they're literally connected on the inside. Now, to prove to his girlfriend just how weird this whole setup was, he actually snuck into Hugh's side to film a quick video. But as he's filming, he hears a door shut somewhere inside and completely panics, bolting right back to his side. Of course, Hugh saw the whole thing on his security cameras. But instead of getting mad, he just laughed it off with this incredibly weird comment. Our narrator, though, he did not find it funny at all. So he propped this huge wooden chair against the adjoining door, as a makeshift lock.
Later that same night, he's alone again because his family went out for dinner. And all of a sudden, this loud crash just echoes from down the hall, right from where Hugh's door was.
He creeps down this dark hallway, flips on the light, and there it is. The heavy wooden chair that he'd used as a lock was knocked over, just lying on the ground.
And right next to that fallen chair was a backpack he had never seen before in his life. He was absolutely terrified. He just ran to the front screened-in porch, locked himself in, and hid under a table.
So when his family finally gets back, a deadly serious Hugh pulls his dad aside. And it turns out, Hugh's security cameras had picked up everything. The crash had sent him an alert, and when he checked the feed, thinking it was the kid again, he saw a tall, bald intruder coming out of the narrator's bedroom. The strange, creepy neighbor was actually hiding outside the whole time, watching the house to protect him.
All right, for our second story, we're leaving the creepy woods of Maine and heading down to the humid swamps of Florida. This one happened during an annual family trip to West Palm Beach, where a night of partying took a really dark and completely unexpected turn.
So our narrator and her cousin Teresa get stuck with that classic vacation job, babysitting their very, very drunk cousin, Will. Well, Will gets himself thrown out of a bar, and he doesn't just stumble down the street. Oh no, he wanders off into this heavily wooded, muggy swamp area, forcing them to chase him into the darkness, totally frustrated. So as they're trying to argue and drag him out of there, Will just freezes and shushes them. His whole vibe just flips, from this belligerent drunk to being stone-cold terrified. And that's when they all heard it. These horrifying screams, not just loud but primal, desperate, echoing through the pitch-black swamp. As the narrator says, they were screams she's never heard before and has never been able to forget. Totally shaken up, they actually went back the next morning to that same spot. And what they found, it seemed to confirm their worst fears. There was a torn jacket sleeve caught on a branch, footprints all over the mud suggesting a violent struggle, and then the rest of the jacket, just discarded on the ground. And from that spot, only a single set of tracks led away into the dense brush. So what do you do in that situation? Do you call the cops? The narrator was totally convinced they'd stumbled onto a crime scene and they had to report it. But Will argued against it. He was terrified that because they were drunk and in this bizarre, random place, the police would immediately suspect them. He actually convinced them to just walk away, to let it go, a decision and a mystery that the narrator says has haunted her ever since. And that brings us to our final story. We're heading to Maryland for a couple's getaway, and this one is all about a friendly encounter that really serves as a chilling reminder that a friendly smile can sometimes hide the most dangerous intentions.
Okay, so to really get this story, you have to understand the dynamic between this couple. Our narrator admits he's an overly friendly guy, trusts people super easily.
His girlfriend Vanessa, on the other hand, is way more cautious. And this difference in how they see the world, well, it's key to everything that happens next.
The trouble really started when the narrator befriends this guy, Henry, at a gas station. And over the next few days, the red flags just keep piling up. Henry's a little too friendly, his friend Sarah is just strange and miserable, and then they hear someone literally trying to open their condo door in the middle of the night.
So after dinner one night, the narrator texts Henry, just saying they were heading to bed. Henry starts calling him over and over, and when he doesn't answer, Henry sends this absolutely chilling message. They rush back to their room and find the door is ajar. The place has been completely ransacked, but the stuff they stole was bizarre. It wasn't cash or electronics. It was a pair of shoes, a bathing suit, and, this is the most disturbing part, a photo of the two of them from their dresser. The police later confirmed it all. The names were fake, the phone number was out of service. Henry and Sarah had probably targeted them from that very first moment at the gas station, playing the long game for a really personal and deeply unsettling robbery.
So what do these three completely different nightmares all have in common? Well, this section, Hiding in Plain Sight, really gets to the heart of it. The crucial point in all these stories is how danger can pop up exactly when we least expect it. On vacation, when our guard is down and we're supposed to be relaxed.
And this really breaks it down perfectly. In Maine, yeah, the threat was an intruder, but the real lesson was about misjudging the person who was actually protecting you. In Florida, the terror was all about the unknown, a mystery that's just never going to be solved. And in Maryland, the threat wasn't some stranger breaking in, but a predator who was personally invited right through the front door because of misplaced trust.
And really, it all leaves you wondering, right? How well do you really know the people you meet on vacation? It's a chilling thought about that fine line between a friendly stranger and a hidden threat, and whether any of us would know the difference before it's too late. Thanks for watching.